medical and surgical heroes. You might call it heroes and villains. Well, I've known one or two villains, but it's the heroes I really remember. When I was a young medical student, I was inspired by John Hunter. He's a great 18th century surgeon in England, in London, who worked out all the physiological and pathological process, dissecting insects, animals and human beings, cadavers. And he collected a huge number of specimens. You can see them in the museum in London. They survived the bombing of London, and they're still a great source of inspiration and solid science. Now, other more recent people are John Charnley. He was a great surgeon in London who was a brash young fellow, stood up to the establishment and was banished to Wrightington. But he developed hip replacement, put all the work into it, and made a huge contribution to patient care in the region of hip replacements. Fred Hollows, he was a eye surgeon who pioneered cataract surgery. You know, he showed that it could be done in small clinics in Vietnam and other parts of Southeast Asia. You know, next door to where I'm working, there's an eye surgeon doing them on an outpatient basis, all thanks to the work of Fred Hollows. Fred Hollows used to walk through the hospitals, you know, kicking open the doors, cigarette out the corner of his mouth. He was a maverick. He pushed the frontiers. He didn't worry about convention and orthodoxy. You know, I see too many of these younger guys sitting around on committees, feathering their own nest, you know, whether they're here or not. Doesn't make any difference to anything, you know. It's the pioneers that really matter. Joe Murray, he was a great pioneering surgeon, got a Nobel Prize for doing the first kidney transplant. You know, I've actually worked in that same operating theatre many years later, of course. He went into facial-maxillary surgery. It was a bit gruff at times, but it was an inspiration to be with him. So was it to be a resident of Professor Leroy Van Dam, who established high standards of anesthesia training in the US. He was a driving personality, intellectual, also a great painter. He was on the cover of JAMA magazine many times. Now there's a good story about Denton Cooley. He's a cardiac surgeon in Texas who waited till the weekend to do the first heart transplant. You know, so the health department was closed, so no one could say no. Also, his boss was out of town. He did it. What a maverick. Bit bold, wasn't it? And on Monday morning, all hell broke loose. He was sacked, but he set up his own centre, became a very famous surgeon, made a huge contribution. I've known Professor Huckstep. He's still alive, of course. He worked in China, Uganda, and Australia, pioneering polio, the care of polio patients, tumour care and trauma. Still a great surgeon, and made a huge contribution. MSF, younger men, MSF, Men's Sans Frontier, men and women going out to where they're really needed, you know, feathering the nest of the CBD of New York, Sydney or London, and putting their own lives at risk, helping patients. And, you know, more recently, I've heard about Dr. Mohamed Carter. He's a professor of surgery. He actually had a terrible experience as a patient himself. Now he's revolutionising patient care in our country and really helping to breaking all orthodoxy and helping to improve the healthcare system. And look at this young man. He's a young surgeon, Dr. Munjab Budiris. He suffered terribly at the hands of Saddam Hussein. He wouldn't cut off the ears of patients, of prisoners, and he had to hide from Saddam Hussein. He came to Australia. No, they did. They put him in the detention centre. What a shameful period, black period in Australian history. Well, he survived that. He got onto the orthopaedic training scheme. He's finished that, and now he's establishing practice in our country. What a great young man! What a huge contribution he'll make. So to all these heroes in medicine and surgery, I salute you. Thank you for what you did for me, and of course, thank you for what you've done for patient care.